Today, you'll learn how a founder built a calm, non-reactive mindset to survive 10 years of pivots and how composure, not hype, is the real unfair advantage. Stay tuned to learn 5 things that you can use this week to lead more flow under pressure. Now, if this helps you, I want you to look at The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi on Apple and Spotify, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, go to your YouTube at Stacey Chillemi Advisor. It helps more creators and founders find real tools. Now, today I'm really excited because we have a very special guest today. His name is John Betancourt, and he is the founder of Ask Aura. It's an HR AI startup, and he is the leader who's turned setbacks into sustainable mindset. Now, John, I am so excited to have you on the show. Welcome to The Advisor. Tell everybody a little about yourself.
Well, I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, but I live in Miami. I have been blessed with an amazing family that was able to create a platform where I could learn 5 languages like English. Spent 10 years living in Latin America after college, 10 years in Europe. I was on The Apprentice with Donald Trump. I managed 30,000 people by the time I was 30. I was the youngest partner ever at Heidrick and Struggles and Korn Ferry and Executive Search. And I worked at a company that grew from 100 employees to 12,000 employees in 1 year and 8 million to 3 billion in revenue in 2 years. Let's just say I've been blessed with a lot of great experiences, as well as spirituality to kind of get me through them all and take a lot of lessons that I'm happy to share here today with you.
Oh, I love that. Now, you talk about becoming a third-party observer of your thoughts. In plain English, what does it actually mean?
The human being is composed of two things. It's an animal, right? We're living, breathing, physical animals, but there's also a soul inside of us, and most people don't realize that that soul occupies the body, and it comes in while you're in the womb. And that soul has thoughts, and your animal has thoughts. So there's two types of thoughts, and everyone mistakenly believes that I think, therefore I am, and that's it. Well, when you hear your thoughts, although it's the same texture in your mind, the source of the thoughts could be from your animal or from your soul. And if you can meditate enough or do other spiritual practices with plant medicine, you can get to the point where when you hear those thoughts, you know whether it's from your soul or your animal. And your soul's always in high vibration, joy, positivity.
Yeah.
Your animal is always in finite, I'm going to die, I'm scared, I live in fear, I'm jealous, low vibration. The best movie that brought it to life for children is called Inside Out. And that whole
Right.
movie is around how your thoughts, you should be able to manage them. And so, to this point of being less reactive, being a third party, when I hear a thought, I don't react to it. I first go to like a tribunal level and say,
Yeah.
was that my soul? Or was that my ego from my animal that's not my friend? And if you can
Right.
get to that point, you can regulate how you interact in society with others, with your children, with spouses at work, without getting your buttons pushed and knowing that there's nothing really that should upset you. Your soul's never upset. Your animal ego is. But if you can move away from reacting to those types of thoughts, you can live in this third party observer type of balance.
I love that. That's really a great way to look at it. Now, how did spiritually help you move from reactive to responsive as a founder?
In startups, you have challenges at a rate of 1,000 more per week than at a 9 to 5 job at a big company, right? And so that can be exhausting. And um, when you're leading a company and you have to have that positive energy for your subordinates, for your team, let's say 5, 20 people in a typical small startup, um, you have to just know that there's more to life than just breathing and, eating and working, and that there's something more, and that there's an intention and a manifestation of belief systems and ideas that is driven from source, that there's a God or something that makes it all possible. And you have to put faith and trust that if you're following your purpose and that deep inner drive, you're actually following the purpose and the inner drive of source or God or whatever your belief system. And that'll just give you much more of an infinite energy to put up with every one of those challenges thousands of times a week, thousand times a month,
Yeah.
to stay positive. And, I've been at it for 10 years in my company. I mean, there are moments where I'm like, gosh, is the universe on my side? Am I doing what I'm supposed to? Is this really my purpose? It's been 10 years. But then you
Yeah.
think, well, if you look at it as 10 years of 70, yeah, that's a big chunk. Maybe it's a mistake. But then if you actually believe that there's more to life than this life and that you come back infinite times and that you are pure consciousness and you probably have lived since the beginning of time, 10 years is actually just a blink of the eye. And so I shouldn't use time as a construct that it's been this long or it's been this hard. Um, and when you start to reframe it, it's like, okay, well, I'll just plug along another day or two, another week, another month, and it's going to happen. We can just keep the faith. And so, that's kind of how my spirituality has gotten me through 10 years of what I tell people, 10 years of failure. I mean, we're okay. We're doing well now, but
Yeah.
I've hit doubles or triples in most of my career exploits. This was striking out for many years before even hitting a single. And to do that as an adult after so much success, that was pretty bruising for my human ego side. Thank God
Yeah.
for my spirit and soul being able to pick up that bruised ego and keeping it going.
And that's hard to do. That's really hard to do. And, most people always see the brighter things. They see like the successes and this and that, but they don't really realize how much a business owner or how much an entrepreneur actually goes through on the other side, trying to keep their business, afloat and how to make it successful and elevate to that next level, because it's a very hard task.
Every success has probably 20 failures to get to the success. And from the outside, it always looks glamorous. Like I could sell my company for $100 million in 2 years, let's say, knowing what I know now after these 10 years, and let's say two more 12, if somebody would have told me it was going to be that hard, I don't know if I would have chosen to do it.
Right.
Because I thought this would be a 3 year, oh, go get 10 clients, a million each, 10 million in revenue in software. That's equal to $100 million. I'll be worth $100 million or sell the company right in 3 years and I'm done. It's gonna be easy. Oh
Yeah.
boy, it's laughable how off I was on that prediction.
I've heard many people say that too. I've heard many people say that I'm going to retire by this age. I'm going
Yeah,
to
I'll
do this.
return. And even now, it's funny. I did the research after I already was like all in, but um,
Yeah.
they say that companies take off on average, these startups that do really well, especially in technology, that when it hits, it scales really easily. And
Yeah.
we all know the brands that have become huge, 8 to 10 years before they actually find the product market fit. And that when they do take off like 10 years later, the actual product that takes off is only 10% of what the original vision was.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, if I would have known that I would have had to change my vision of what I was going to do, I would like, I didn't go into this to pivot and pivot and pivot to do different things. Like most people, like when you're accepting to be a startup entrepreneur, you should accept that whatever you're launching isn't going to be the thing that makes you successful. So if you're not open to launching like 7 startups in the next 10 years, maybe all
Yeah.
connected to the same concept, don't do it.
And that's 100% true. That's 100% true. Most people that what they go in is not
Yeah,
what
like your podcast. I don't even know you, but I'm sure what you started and where you are today is like
completely
70% different. And you're much more successful now than when you started.
exactly, exactly. If I knew, I wish I could go back and switch it over so I didn't have to go through all the cycles that I went through to get to where I am today, for sure. And I hear that from everybody. Now, what did in the flow look like on a bad day? Like when deals fell through or the code broke?
A couple things. I would take time to breathe and breathe
Mhm.
through the negative vibration and reaction just because you can have third party observer know that your ego voice is you shouldn't listen to it. It's part of a story and part of a physical mechanism in your brain called the default modal network. That is the structure in every human's brain. That is the ego that collects the stories and all the things that make you feel like you're not good enough or that it's your fault or there's something wrong with an outcome. And so if you can breathe through that, i.e. meditate through that, you can get rid of that initial negative vibration. and get you in a better state to think through what's next and just not dwell, but look forward on, well, what do I do now? And
Right.
then me personally, so I think that would work for everyone, but also me personally running, which also is connected to breathing, ironically, but I would go for a long run. There's nothing like for me to connect back to who I am and just become mindless. It's almost like when I watch Netflix at 1 in the morning on a Friday night and there's nothing else to do, kids are asleep. Like I just become mindless. When I run on a bad day, I come back from the run, it's like there's no problems. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm one with nature. I run outside, I don't run inside. I don't care how cold, wet, rainy, snowy, sunny it is, hot. Um, so those are the two things. I breathe and I go for a run. And it keeps me in a flow because we all get out of flow. That's part of being human.
Oh
The
yeah.
key is how quickly can you get back into it?
Yes. That's so true. That's so true. Everybody gets out of flow, but like
Everybody,
I said,
the
if
greatest
you,
athletes, the
yeah,
the the greatest political minds, the Indira Gandhis, the Mother Teresa, everybody's out of there's no one that doesn't have a bad day, a bad month. Even marriages. Like my parents were happily married. My father passed away unfortunately a year ago, but they were happily married, happily, right? They had their ups and downs, and I always tell people it's like a sine or cosine graph. Like it
yeah,
wasn't they'd be happy or not one day. Marriage is like you're happy for 3 years with your partner, and there could be 2 years where you're not happy with your partner. And you
hmm
got to get through 2 years and then it's great again for 5 years. Like people don't realize
yeah,
marriage isn't one of these like, well, we had a bad week. You
yeah,
could have a bad 5 years.
exactly.
And you have to look at it that way and be ready for that. Otherwise, you'll never get through it. Um,
Oh, 100%. And I think that's why you see so many divorces because people give up so quickly.
People
But
give up they quickly. Yeah. And it's funny, people don't give up on their kids, but they'll give up
no,
on their spouse. Because you'll have a
yeah,
kid who's screwed up for 4 years in high school, doing all the wrong things. And you know deep in your heart that they're going to be okay. And then by 22, they're the greatest kid in the world, or vice
yeah.
versa. They're great in high school, bad. And you give that time, that space to your child, but why wouldn't you give it to your partner?
That's a great point. I like
Right?
that. Yes, so true. Now, for listeners who wake up anxious about running away or revenue, what's your 24-hour step to lower reactivity?
Mindset of no expectation.
Hmm.
If you expect to close the deals, expect to make so much money, you're only going to be let down, especially with startups, because whatever you project will never happen. Like somehow as a startup, you have to have the audacious, courageous, think big mentality, which only by definition makes you overly predict potential, or otherwise you would have never done it. um, right? So like just the nature of a startup person and what's possible won't let them be objective in the prediction. So counter that with not having an expectation. Um, I think that's the first step, that mindset. Um, and then, just know that you know, it's it's doing 20 sales calls to get to five that are really interested and
Right.
five trials to get to one that closes. Like, and just having the thick skin to know that it's trial and error and it's like A/B testing and there's every 2 weeks being agile and not just on your product development, but in your marketing plans and in your sales messaging and just pivoting and being agile and just constantly improving at the margin. And you constantly improve at the margin for 4 years. Next thing you know, you have the world's most transformational product, right?
Right.
Like most people just kind of hold on to their idea and like not attaching your ego to the outcome and not attaching your idea to your ego. If the market or somebody in your company proves after a week that your idea sucked and your CEO or a manager or anywhere in between, be
Yeah.
okay with it and be like, oh my God, cool, let's move on. The idea sucked. But so
Yeah.
many leaders and so many people hold on because it was their idea and they don't want to look bad. So
Exactly.
I think that really gets people in trouble. Like I learned at Procter and Gamble, they're like, one, you will always be successful in business because everybody connects their ego to their business and their products and their ideas. You don't know anything. The market knows everything. And always go to market knowing that the market, the customers. And so don't ever try to come up with the products yourself. Always
Yeah.
listen and read about what and they call it habits and practices. We read 1,000-page studies of what people do with their laundry detergent, with their clothing, how they hang it up. The answer is always out there. And as long as you're following what the market's saying, you will end up having a winner because most companies don't. Most companies rely on their brilliant employees to come up with everything. That's not how it works. It's the
Yeah.
brilliant employees who listen to the market and take what the market's saying, even if it goes completely against what the company thought it was going to do.
Right. I agree with that. Yes. A lot of times, I think the biggest problem is people don't listen to their customers. They don't listen to, the people who matter the most. And sometimes they think, okay, I have the greatest, product in the world. I have the greatest service in the world, and they're doing what they think is the right answer, but they're not really listening to what the customers really actually need and what the customers want. And once you take a step back and you start listening and stop trying to talk or sell, that's when you come up with, building yourself to that next level of success, I think.
Every one of our like home, because we have like 20 features, the three or four that are the home run ones, because we have come up with features and then the market validated that we got it right. Okay, that does happen. But the three or four home run features that now make our platform the most transformational talent management AI coach in the world all came from interviewing customers or hearing customer feedback. Like those really home run ones always come from the market. It's really remarkable.
That is remarkable, but it makes sense, makes total sense. Now, you've pivoted products, position, and buyers. How do you know when it's time to pivot versus preserve?
Each time it happens, I almost feel like I don't know. And I do feel like I'm kind of jumping off the cliff and guessing. In
Yeah,
retrospect, I must either have good intuition or a good process because it's worked out okay. Pivoting, when you hear a startup person talk about pivoting like it's a fun thing, then they clearly don't know what it is. Pivoting is not fun. Even if you're
yeah,
successful, it's exhausting, you know. And the bigger the company, the harder it is to pivot. That's why these big companies like Blockbuster, why'd they go out of business? They had more money than Netflix. They had the
yeah,
technology to do what Netflix did and Amazon and sell things online. But to pivot that many employees, that many customers, that many partners with stores all over the country, it's impossible. It's like moving the Titanic in a
right.
2-inch turn, like impossible. Smaller company, it's easier. Like, so, we were 10 people throughout this journey. Now we're like 20, but at the beginning, we started as a recruiting platform and we put all our money in buying a psychometric tool for recruiting. That was my background. I was going to create a way of scaling me and put into a software that every recruiter, every applicant, talent acquisition manager could be as good as the top search consultant guy like me.
Yeah,
And when COVID hit, we were like at 3 million in revenue, crushing it. And then nobody was going to buy software for recruiting. We lost everything. So in that case, the pivot wasn't a choice. It
yeah,
was close the company or find something else to do with the psychometric. So in that case, it was obvious, right? I got to pivot. But the decision was, do I close or pivot? Because if the universe, God, the market, I don't know if they're the same things or not, create something that destroys your business, should you really pivot? My wife was telling me no. She was like, go back to making lots of money as an executive search consultant.
yeah,
And I was like, well, I bought this psychometric tool. What else can I use it for? And this is where part of it was like, what could I use it for? The company thinking ideas. But then we interviewed our biggest clients. Hey, now all your employees are remote. What would you want? Would you be able to use this for your internal employees instead of for hiring? Oh, yeah, really? And they would tell us, well, gosh, if you could somehow in a virtual meeting room tell me the dynamics of how to work with people we've never seen before or met. And so we built a product based on the customer recommendation, and it wasn't
yeah,
clear it was going to work. And we got some traction. But the problem was after about 2 years of that, we kind of hit like only 1 in 20 calls were going forward, and even those were stalling, and we weren't booming. And so I kind of was like, okay, I got to either close the company down or pivot again. And then I got lucky because I saw Grammarly come out and take dictionary and thesaurus and put it in workflow, become worth 8 billion. I'm like, oh
yeah,
my gosh, let's pivot to what that company has done with content that nobody looks at. Nobody
yeah,
looks at their personality test results. They do a workshop. If we could put it into workflow, that should work. Let's just follow what's already been done that worked. And that
yeah,
got us some traction. But then there were issues that we were solving a problem around collaboration, but there's no chief collaboration officer. So we got
Okay.
about 2 years, grew back up to 1 million, but it wasn't taking off. And then you needed to get, it was, we had a little bit of AI. You had to get security review. You needed training. It was hard to trial a product. There were like 8 reasons why that wasn't taking off. So we had to pivot again. It was either close or pivot again. And we pivoted when I saw ChatGPT. Like, and
Mm,
that was like, oh my God, I'm definitely sure we should be in workflow. But the reason people didn't use the product was it was too clunky. But if you could just ask a coach, a virtual coach named Aura, ask Aura, hey, how do I work with Stacey?
yeah.
I'm in an email. Rewrite this email for Stacey. What's the culture of my new team I'm managing? And it just tells you, oh, they're all decisive. Do this. How do I engage this employee? All the questions that every employee in the world would have, every manager. If you could just ask it like ChatGPT, but around these topics and have
Yeah.
personalized answers based on the psychology of everyone,
Right.
that's a winner. And it was almost that one was obvious. Like it was, that's the pivot. Now it still
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we were going to succeed, but it definitely led us to a product that we are sure to this day, everyone in the world will use a personalized AI coach at work.
Hmm.
There will be a $10 billion company doing it. We have the first mover advantage. Now we don't have much money. Since
Right.
pivoting, 4 companies raised 20 to 30 million each to do what we're doing. Their
Wow.
product's not as good as ours, but they have marketing money. Ours is a
Yeah.
better product, but no marketing. So
Right.
there's where we are today. And so, although the pivot was right, it has not guaranteed success yet.
Okay. That's, it's challenging. It's very challenging, but it's amazing how you went from one extreme to the next. You didn't give up. You found you kind of, pivoting is very stressful. It's very hard, but you know what? You keep looking for the angle, you keep researching, you keep thinking about, it's like putting together a puzzle,
It's a
and
puzzle. It's a really complex puzzle, and it's
yeah.
and it's taking pieces from different boards.
Hmm.
Like the I'm taking from Grammarly, I'm taking from ChatGPT, I'm taking from our own knowledge, customer. Like you really have to be ear to the ground and seeing and not living under the rock, because most unfortunately startup people live under a rock and they only know one thing, and you'll never pivot and land in that intersection of lots of ideas unless you're kind of out there looking and seeking and learning.
100%. Now, what's your playbook for telling the team that you're pivoting without killing the morale?
Oh my God, that's a great question. We lost a few people along the way because to tell a marketing person, hey, I know for the last 2 years I told you to redo the website, the PowerPoint, the videos, the customer testimonials. I mean, what is that, like 3 months of work? Well, guess what? 2 months, 2 years later, hey, we're going to reposition and have a new product, new messaging, new website. That's exhausting for marketing. Same for
Yeah.
sales. Same
Hmm.
for customer success. And now you got to support the 100 customers from the recruiting product, but now we're selling a collaboration product. So how do you support those with the same people who now are supporting other types of people? And how does your website not get cluttered with the past products that you still have people and the future products? So it's not easy. Um, I think less, I think with a pivot, less influencing and convincing. And you tell them why you're doing everything.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, they just have to believe in the leader. I think the
Yeah.
companies that make it through pivots, the leader has something about them where people are all in with that leader. Whether the leader is amazing or not, it doesn't even matter. Whether they're going to succeed or not, but the people want to fight to the top. What's that phrase? Fight to the top of the mountain with them. Like it just,
Yeah.
they're all in. And so I've been blessed where I have today the same, a core of 10, and then some new people we've added, but the same 10 that have been with us for 5 years. And it was a belief in me and my vision. And I'm a quirky guy, a quirky leader. I don't have the profile like the typical leader. And these
Yeah.
people believe and believed in me and are still there. And I will reward them. And I think they know that. I think they know that I will reward them if we do get out through the other side.
Yeah. That's awesome. It takes a good leader. If people stand behind you and they don't give up on you, that is a good leader. That it definitely is a good leader. You will have some that fall off the line because they just can't handle the stress or it's
Yeah.
too overwhelming, or they might take it personally. But, for the most part, if you can keep the same team going and going and going and they're following you and supporting you, that's a huge plus on your part for sure. for sure. Now, how did you keep investors and advisors in the loop so a pivot built, credibility instead of burning it?
When I started the company, I wanted to do everything like by the book and cross my T's, dot my I's. So I
Yeah,
was looking for venture capital. I had a board. I would do quarterly, every 3 months, 4 times a year, and then an annual meetings for the investors. And boy, it was a ton of work. And my whole team would stop for a week and do slides and metrics. And we'd spend time on a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan with all the assumptions on a 200 line, pro
yeah,
forma financials. But then we would never hit it. We'd look like idiots every quarter. It was stressful as hell. It caused confusion and disbelief among everybody. And 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 we were beholden to people at the end of the day, didn't really were too far from the business and really couldn't help us. So within
yeah.
5 years, I stopped all that. I got rid of the board and I bought out other major investors. And so now I'm just the major investor. Um, I do send updates once a year,
Yeah,
and people just have to believe that I'm working my ass off with the team and that they know that if something bad is happening, I'll let them know, but they also know when good stuff, I send out little notes. So it it's much more loosey goosey than it used to be, and but there's a lot less stress for everyone in my company, for me, my management team, and even the investors. I think probably half the investors think it'll never make money, and half think that I'm now on track and they see a big, big pot of treasure at the end.
that's awesome. That's awesome. What metrics matter during the ugliest months, like when vanity numbers look fine, but the truth didn't?
And the worst is when you lose a client,
Hmm.
churn. Like
Yeah.
they're in software, with consumer products, you can lose 100 clients here, getting back 100 there. But when you're a startup software company, you might have 100 clients, maybe 50 at best, right? And losing one client could be 5% of your business.
Yeah.
It's tough to make that back. But worse than making back the revenue loss is, why did we lose a client? If you have a product that works and there's a
Yeah.
market for that product, you really shouldn't lose the client.
Right.
If somebody buys a BMW and they love that car and it's the first car they own, there's a
Hmm.
good chance they're going to keep buying a BMW,
Right.
right? You know, uh, I you use a hair gel that makes your hair look amazing,
Hmm.
right? You're going to keep using the hair gel, right? You go to a restaurant that you love for sushi, you know, maybe after 5 years, same sushi every month could be boring. But so in software, when you lose a client, that is the worst kiss of death. And there have been moments where we've lost some big clients, and we've had to look at ourselves in the face and understand why. And some of them is because we let go of the hand holding because we,
Hmm.
we didn't have enough people to manage all the clients. So we've added
Yeah.
some people there. So it wasn't a software problem. It was more of an implementation and adoption problem, which was
Right.
under our control, but we didn't see that, or we got lazy. Um,
Yeah.
but the metrics that kick you in the gut are the losing of a client, the churn.
Right. What personal boundary kept you from burning out or becoming cynical?
I think it's just a naive expectation that I'm a smart guy. I've succeeded a lot in life. I've never lost the war. I've lost battles, but not the war. And so this is just many battles lost, but I still feel like I can win the war. And maybe it's like a blind faith that I'm just going to figure it out. And I think a lot of startups, it is that blind faith. And
Yeah.
something tells me that the day that I don't think it's going to work, I will pull the plug without hesitation. I just
Right.
don't have the data to tell me yet that it won't work out.
Right. Now, you lived and worked across the US, Latin America, Europe, Dubai. How did those cultures teach you, teach you about, leading humans and the differences from all those, cultures? What did you get from that?
really, those experiences shape my vision for the company I launch, right? A platform to understand humans, whether
Mhm.
it's different work styles, cultural styles, working with people in different countries, um, a, a product user interface that would be well received by all these different cultures, a specific feature. We have a cross-cultural tab. So it's a cross-culture coach, first one in the world that does it the right way, because there are directional differences or similarities of German people and how they work and how they uh, uh, leverage time, or how they manage, um, how they communicate, how they deal with hierarchy, right, or conflict. And same with Brazil, and same with Greece, and same with Italy. But at the same time, every country, there's people in those countries that are not exactly like all of the different things. So we created a culture coach where you can put the country you're working with and the person in that country, and it'll separate out and say, here are the three things that are very Greek in this person's working style. But here are three things that this person, although they're Greek, do not follow Greek culture. So
Right.
here are the things you need to do for this person. So we have personalized cross-cultural communication and collaboration in a
Yeah.
coach. And that's never been done before. And the only way I could have ever come up with that was having worked in all these places. Because all the books are stuck at the generalization and not the
Yeah.
personalization within the generalization, right? And so, because picture a plane like in geometry, like a plane is German culture or Greek culture, and then a vector is a person. So yeah, there are similarities for that plane; they're on the same plane, but there's infinite number of variations within that. And to be able to create a product that's simple, that captures that complexity, I mean,
Yeah.
only someone who speaks five languages and worked in 20 years outside the US, could get to that kind of product. So that's kind of a cool thing that I'm very proud of. Other stuff, I think just seeing where there are similarities in leadership and team effectiveness, and you know, a lot of AI coaches today, and this could be another product innovation that I got from these. They're so naive. Like there's products out there like Valence and Attensi, and where their AI coach, it's kind of like just ChatGPT. You go on there, how do I lead a team? It's just
Yeah.
generic leadership tips.
Yeah.
Ours, 100 leaders ask the question about their team. How do I lead my team? And
Yeah.
you will get 100 different answers. So that kind of understanding that every team is different and getting the insights and the right information around, if you have a team of mavericks versus a team of followers or a team of decisive people versus,
Yes.
deliberate people, I think everything about my company was driven by the experiences of living and working abroad.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. You learn a lot when you're in different cultures and you see different people and the way they operate. It's so different from American culture. And but those countries are very successful. A lot of those countries do extremely well. So their way of doing things, everybody should be open to other cultures and how they do things and really, see how they can adapt certain behaviors and certain cultures and certain ways of doing things into our own culture because I think that's where growth really happens.
Yes, agreed.
Now, John, listeners were promised 5 concrete actions. Would you share 5 things that they can do this week to lead a calmer and last longer type of lifestyle?
They should learn how to meditate.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, and and that's where you really separate some time, even just 15 to 20 minutes a day or even a week to start.
Yeah,
I think they should breathe. In any moment during the day, you'll realize that you're not fully breathing.
yeah,
And deep breathing is the connection to source, to your soul, to being calm and being in flow. And the more stressed one is, actually, they've done studies, you actually are not breathing fully when you're stressed.
yeah,
And even when people sleep, sleep apnea is a big thing. The minute these people get these machines and they can breathe, they feel so different. So breathing really is something, it's the most under-communicated skill in life. People talk about healthy diet, education, money. Breathing is like a pillar. Like it's up there. Um, so meditation, breathing. I think having love in your life, whether it's a partner, your family, or your children. They've done studies that those who have love in their life live like 10 years longer.
Mm.
So I would say love and then friendship. The Harvard study came out. I think everybody saw a copy of it like 2 years ago or a year ago, where people live like 10 years longer if they have friends through to the last chapter when they die that are physically within their community,
Mm.
because friendship is like more powerful than diet in longevity.
Yeah.
And to be able to call someone when you have a problem or to share something that's wonderful,
Yeah.
um, you know, they say the vibration of grateful and gratitude is higher than love. Well, you
Hmm.
can't be grateful or have gratitude if you don't have others in your life
Exactly.
to be grateful for. Um, and then as a fifth thing, wow, there's so many that could fall in fifth. I think I don't want to describe this. Break routine. That's not a very technical term or intellectual term, but I think people start to decay when they have routine in everything they do.
Yeah.
And there's a joy about learning about life and doing new things that you see in young kids through 6, 7, in high school, in college, in their first jobs, their 20s. And there's like a growth mindset and an excitement and a joy that's just, it's like a vibration. It's like it's contagious. Everybody loves to hear like the college kid coming from college or their first person in their 30s or they're getting married and that's new. And but when the
Yeah.
newness of life stops, people start dying and accelerating their death. So I
Yeah.
think for all your listeners out there, like if you're 50 and you're not doing new things every week, every month, you've started to die,
Yeah.
right? Like in this, it's yeah, I'm 55 and I look, I don't dye my hair. I look pretty good. Like, and then people always ask me, I go, what do you do? What do you? And I don't eat any, I'm not, I don't eat junk food all day, but I'm definitely not the paleo healthy eat guy. And I drink alcohol probably 5 nights a week, like a glass of wine here or whiskey there. So I'm not, I don't smoke. I mean, I'm not killing like I'm not taking toxins, but other than alcohol. Um, but like, I think it's because I'm always trying to do something different and learn. And I'm always putting myself in uncomfortable situations. And I think that growth mindset keeps you young. Like
Yeah.
I still run 4 or 5 miles every day, like probably 5 days a week.
That's
I was
awesome.
I was running and I was like, how are you able to run this fast? You're an old man. And then like there was a voice, almost a voice might saying, no one, you're not old man. You don't have that mindset. That's your ego right now talking, but you know that you feel like you're 30. And when you go out to run every day, you're trying to run like you're still in college. Don't
Yeah.
stop that. Keep running like you're in college. Because the day
Right.
that you tell yourself, you're an old man, you can't run this fast, you
Yeah.
won't be able to run that fast. And the
Right.
cells in your body will stop producing as a 30-year-old and they will be a 55-year-old man cells. So I literally think, and this is going to sound woo-woo crazy, that I have manifested and forced my cells to stay 30, 35, because that is my mindset on a pretty much 80% day to day. And if people can have that growth mindset and still do new things, I think they'll live a lot longer and be a lot happier.
Oh, I agree totally with you for sure. Those are five great pointers. Thank you
Yeah.
so
And
much.
by the way, you look like you're 30 and you told me you have kids who are 30, so in their 20s. So you clearly live the same philosophy.
Well, you're now my best friend, so. Now, you have a great program. I want to learn more about it. Can you tell everybody about your program and what it involves and the different type of components it has and how they can benefit from them?
Yeah, anyone at a small, mid-size, or even Fortune 500 company, and we've closed Accenture, Coca-Cola, Honeywell, Home Depot, Pepsi, Mastercard is trialing it. But It's a small company. So it's an AI coach that's personalized. That you give a personality test to your team of 5, 10, 20, or your company with several teams. And all of those insights, someone's behaviors, how they like to communicate, what their learning styles are, what motivates them, are now flowing through any technology you're using, Google Workspace, Microsoft Teams, Outlook, Zoom, and it'll give you tips. And you can ask Aura, this sentient being, this virtual coach agent, any question about working together, engagement, how to engage someone, what projects to give them, how to personalize a performance review, how to rewrite an email. And so you can go to humanintelligence.com or our other website, www.askaura, that's AURA, like your energy aura, .ai. So remember, humanintelligence.com, askaura.ai. And you can actually try a free trial for your team or request a demo, get in touch with us. You can go to John Betancourt on LinkedIn to find me. My email, direct email is john.betancourt@humanintelligence.com, and happy to write to anybody who responds or get you in touch with the right person in my company.
Oh, I love it. This has been amazing. I thank you so much, John, for being on the show. You have really, shared a whirlwind of information. We tapped into, just the mindset aspect and how that relates to business and also how it relates to the program, and then some of the great components that your program has that could actually help different, levels of companies, from startup to corporate. But I really would love to have you back on the show. You're just an amazing individual, and the knowledge you have to share is amazing. And today you did a wonderful job, and you really shared a lot of information that was very valuable for an individual. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out to be on our show today and to share all this great information.
Stacey, I'm grateful for being part of this, and thank you for your great questions because I couldn't have shared amazing stuff without amazing questions. So, kudos to you as well. This was awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. And you have a great day.
You too.